Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 583 of the DrunkNerds podcast. I'm host as always, I'm Tyler, and joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Not gonna lie, man, I've been feeling half and half this past week. Earlier on this week, I got the news in regards to the whole entirety of like the owners' meeting in the Major League
Yeah,
Baseball, all voting unanimous, like just unanimously for the approval of the Oakland A's to move to Las Vegas. Obviously, I've kept my tabs on it for the entire, not only just for the entire Major League Baseball season, but also over the past 12, 20, 30 some odd years or something like that because of all the rigmarole that freaking ball club has had, not just with the city of Oakland, but also with their owner John Fisher and all this other stuff. And do not listen to what everyone else is saying in regards to it's Oakland's fault for
no,
all this shit that's happening. I mean, granted, there's some responsibility that Oakland does take in regards of some of this events, but it's all on that money grubber, on that fucking dude, John Fisher. And the way that he's neglected his franchise, the Oakland people, and also that franchise, the Athletics and stuff, for the past 20 years. Never spent money on free agency, like for free agent players. Never improved anything in that Oakland Coliseum, man. It's just a freaking terrible thing to happen to that fan
yeah, it's
base.
bullshit. Yeah, lose the
Absolutely.
and on top of that,
But
you lose the Warriors. You lose. I mean, they're in San Francisco, but I mean now they're in San Francisco instead of Oakland. Um,
well, at least at the same point with that perspective, it's like, yeah, they moved out of Oakland. They're right across the bay in San Francisco. It's not like they crossed over to say
no,
Vegas.
no, yeah, like the Raiders, the Oakland lost the Raiders, but it's like so now but
And
now the Warriors are charging like San Francisco prices instead of Oakland prices for their games. So
yeah, yeah, and you want to know what's the biggest pain in the ass and stuff? When Mark Davis, the owner of like the Raiders, when was interviewed and stuff in regards to when he first learned about the A's going through trying to move to Vegas and stuff like that, he was initially pissed off because he wanted to stay in Oakland initially, but as opposed to what ended up going and stuff, well, they ended up going and moving grounds to Vegas and stuff, this long whirlwind stuff. But yeah, that's another time, another type of crazy stuff to be talked about later. But at the same time, man, it's like, yeah, that started at the beginning of the week. The last portion of this week was a lot better as opposed to like earlier on and stuff because my workplace gave out our bonuses early this year, and so absolutely that is fantastic. But I will say one thing I wish I could have done more of is play more video games. I hardly played anything this past week. Once I got back from my vacation, started working, tried to get everything else all going. My freaking boss gave me a scare this morning because she freaking came to work early, like like around 15 minutes before I did and stuff, and I'm supposed to be opening and stuff, and so obviously, you know how
yeah,
the reaction I felt and stuff when I go into the back of the thing, there's like the doors open, the freaking like lights are on. I'm like thinking, oh god, did someone break into my workplace? I'm like, no. So I call my boss. It's like, no, I'm inside. Like,
yeah,
you didn't give me a
yeah.
heads
Like what
up.
am I? And then you're like, well, you're here. Wait, am I getting fired now? Like what the fuck is going on here?
No, she's not
Yeah,
gonna do that. But at the same time, though, it's like, yeah, it was just the funny rigmarole stuff and stuff. So obviously, after each work day and stuff, I've just been crashing early, dude. I mean, I barely played maybe like a half hour to like an hour or something, and I just conk out, dude. I have to fall
no,
asleep.
understandable.
But man, other than those crazy ups and downs this past week, I'm just glad to have some days
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
But enough about me. How have you been, my
I'm alright,
friend?
man. Clanging and banging. It's been more downs than ups this week, but it's been alright. Yeah, not too much, not too crazy going on me. It's just another week. Just being busy and a lot of shit going on and not getting too much shit going on, not getting shit done I want to get done, and now I gotta try to get all that shit done tomorrow. So that's it's the way it's gonna go sometimes. But yeah,
True.
nice thing, but Gables, we did get some cool stuff this week, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about that. Right after tell you about this is the Drunk Tester podcast. Where every week Gables and I get together and talk about video games. If you like all this, like our show, like what we're doing, whether it's your first time listening or your 583rd time listening, please like,
Mm-hmm.
follow, subscribe, follow us. We're on Twitter, Facebook, we're on Twitch, YouTube, whatever podcast apps we're on those places. Please like, follow, subscribe, 5-star reviews, leave comments, share, tell your friends. Share is probably the most important thing to do for us. We are just two guys that have full time jobs. We don't make money on this. We pay money to do this, uh,
We
and we
love
just
doing
love doing
this.
this. We love video games. Love talking about video games, and yeah, we just get together. I have a couple beers, and we talk about some video games. So that's what we're doing here. So without further ado, though, Gables, some of the cool stuff we did get this week is in the world of gaming, and that is, Gables, we did get the Video Game Awards nominees. Finally got those. We talked about last week, Gables. We predicted, we did our final predictions last Sunday. When
Yeah,
before the nominees, if you want to go back, listen to that. We talked about the beginning of the episode last week, but about a month ago, we predicted our six. It was right before Alan Wake 2 came out, before the reviews and everything. And
yes,
we had predicted for the six that we came together on. We said Super Mario Wonder, uh, Spider-Man 2, Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3, Resident Evil 4, and Armored Core 6. Those are the six that we predicted. And then last week
yeah,
we did our last minute, like, is there any? Do you have a change of heart? And it came down. You Gables, you said you thought Alan Wake 2 would be added, but you took Mario Wonder out. So you had four
right,
of the six correct. Um, my
yes,
prediction was I did not think I thought it would come down. I thought Alan Wake 2 would get in, but I thought it would either be Armored Core 6 or Resident Evil 4 that come out. I said RE4 because I thought we have two games in the same genre. The one it's just gonna be they're gonna knock one's gonna knock each other out, and I picked Alan Wake 2 and took Resident Evil 4 out. I got 5 out of 6. Turns out Alan Wake 2 didn't make it, but RE4 actually took the Armored Core spot there. So um, came
yes,
pretty close on that one, Gables. Which is pretty crazy because it's been a pretty, we've talked about how this has been a pretty stacked year for gaming, and the fact that we
absolutely.
got this amount correct is pretty nuts. But we're gonna do next week. We're gonna do a full like prediction podcast. We're gonna go one by one, not through all the categories. Or like we're not gonna go through like all the esports stuff. Like that's not for us. But or like some like the AR VR stuff. Like that's not for us. We're gonna go through um, the majority. We're gonna go through the most of the key ones that I think that most people are gonna care about. So, but I thought this week we can kind of just talk about overall thoughts and feelings on some of these nominees. So, Gables, we're gonna just start off with the big one here. We're gonna start off with so say predictions
Hmm.
for next week, obviously. But
Yeah,
game of the
yeah.
year, like I already said, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario Wonder, and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Anything feel off to you on that list?
Honestly, no, nothing really feels off about that list. Even though people have had arguments in regards to Resident Evil 4 remake
God,
not
yeah,
belonging on there,
fucking drive me nuts.
I do not agree with
Yeah,
that because that remake, hell, I've had a chance to play a good portion, a good portion of that stuff. That oozes every bit of quality and comes across in some aspects better than the original game, and that is a hard achievement to go forth and
yeah,
accomplish in that regards. That's the main goal of a remaster. You want to not only retain what has previously worked for the original version though without deviating too much that would piss off a bunch of people, but at the same time you add enough to where it feels like a new
mm,
experience, and that's why many critics and also many people played through Resident Evil 4 remake and consider it one of their games of the year, if not their game of the year. And quite honestly, I don't have any problems with it. I mean, I don't care if there's no Xbox games in
yeah.
it or whatever
God,
this.
yeah,
I was like, this is not about freaking consoles and PCs and stuff like that. This is about the qualities of every single games in general. And quite honestly, Starfield, for as good as for what how good that is and stuff, and how things are back and forth with a lot of people online or this or that and stuff, I don't even remotely think this belongs inside of a game of the year contention. Not just because of ratings and stuff, not just because of this, it's because for as much as hype as that game went through and was talked about and stuff, it did not live up to that level. It could have it There was no possible way it could have lived up to the level in regards to how much like hype that was brought around it
yeah,
for this year. I mean, the game is good. I mean, I have played some of like Starfield and stuff, but yet at the same point, I don't feel like it's a step above, say, Resident Evil 4 remake or Tears of the Kingdom or Super Mario Wonder. Those are the three games I've actually played from the that entire Game of the Year's list. I know you've played at least a
yeah.
couple of the others, but yeah, man, it's like I. perfectly content with that game of the year category for those game
Yeah,
selections.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm agree. So I've beaten 5 of these games on the of the 6. Baldur's Gate 3 I have not played, but it's like man, like that's a game like every time I see stuff about it, I'm like that game looks like a ton of fun, but it's like also like I hear about how big that game is, how long that game is. I'm just like it's just not gonna happen for me. I'm not gonna like I love to play the game, but it's not realistic for me to be able to play that game. Like when there's so many other games to play, it's like I gotta it's like it's just like I can't like that game like 100.
You have to have like, dude, you have to have some sort of a hankering. You got to have some form of like some heavy interest in wanting to try to delve into like a 100+ hour
Yeah,
RPG just in general. But for something like Baldur's Gate 3, especially if you've never played any of the games in that franchise, is going to be even more kind of like a daunting sort of
yeah,
task to start. But it'll just take maybe one or two different things, and all of a sudden you're just going to dive head
yeah.
first into it.
Well, just like the other 5 games here, I could probably beat in the time it would take to beat Baldur's Gate 3. Uh, so,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't have like was there personal things I would change? Yeah, of course. Like I try to every year. Like there's definitely we'll get into some of these. I have some head scratching nominees we'll talk about later. Um,
Oh yeah.
but I try not to get too bothered by these anymore. Like 10 years ago, yeah, I'm like what the really. But my thing is, it's like when you listen to like I don't know like if people out there like they listen to like First Take on ESPN or they listen to like just hot take people and it's like when like somebody when they have the finalist for like MVP or they do like All American or All Pro and shit and it's like or the Pro Bowl for NFL or the All Star
Mm-hmm.
game for the NBA and it's like oh this person deserves to be in the top the top 5 players in their position. It's like or like top 5 this person deserves to be in the into the Pro Bowl or whatever. It's like all right, cool, man. Like, it's easy to say that, but it's like, all right, who would you take out? And like, you never hear that argument. It's like, oh yeah, this person is it's a disgrace. This person's not on the top 5 or whatever. It's like, but they never say who they would take out. And it's like, you look at this list, like, honestly, who would you take out? And like, people will say, well, I didn't play this game, so I take them. Like, take that away. If you just look at it objectively, how can you argue the list? This is a phenomenal list. And like even if you swapped a couple other games out in here, it's hard to argue. This game, it's been one of the best years in gaming of all time for video games. Um, like
Agreed.
it, what I would personally, I wish Final Fantasy 16 made this list only for the orchestra because I want to hear Final Fantasy 16 in the orc like they do the Game of the Year nominee orchestra right at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
show. I want that. Like that was the only reason. Like I knew it wouldn't be nominated. Like I talked, but it's just like Starfield is in Final Fantasy 16 the same bucket where it's like I love Final Fantasy 16. It is high on my list for Game of the Year this year. Um, but I know that game is pretty decisive amongst fans of Final Fantasy 16 and newcomers. Like I'm not a hardcore Final Fantasy guy, so like jumping in, I love that game. I know people that are, like love Final Fantasy didn't love that game. Starfield, same thing. I know people in our friend group, like the people that like spend hundreds of hours and replay the Bethesda games for decades. Like we have friends that still to this day just play Fallout 3 over and over again, and
Oh yeah.
um,
That
New
New Vegas,
Vegas, yeah,
Skyrim, yeah,
Skyrim,
you
yeah,
name it.
like and they'll just do 100-hour playthroughs over and over again, and like they just didn't like Starfield, and it's like I played 55 hours give or take of Starfield, and it's like I really love that game, but man, like I've talked about over and over again, I have a lot of issues with that game. It's like it's just like any other year would Starfield deserve to be in a nominee? I'd say most years, yeah, it probably would be. But I mean, you're this is just it's a stacked year, and it's like I get it. It's been this is I think the 10th, 11th year of the Game Awards in this in with Jeff Keighley running it by himself and not having like the bullshit Spike TV stuff
Yes.
in there. And yeah, there's never been an Xbox game as a final as a nominee for game of the year. But it's like we've been doing this podcast for over a decade now, Gables, and the thing
Yep.
we've been talking about for over a decade is Xbox and the lack of games. And it's like you look at the last decade, it's like how many games would have a shot at actually being a finalist? It's Gears of War 4, 5, and then Starfield. Like I'm not
Mm,
gonna count Diablo because they got Diablo after they officially owned Activision Blizzard after Diablo came out. So
yeah.
oh
That's kind of crazy to think about though. Gears 4, Gears 5, and like freaking Starfield were the three games that came from Microsoft's first party that were the closest to being close to like inside that game
Yeah.
of the year sort of
Obviously, they've had like a
range.
bunch of great Forza games, but we've talked about it's like games like when we talk about Street Fighter Six potentially being a finalist on this list. It's like those racing games and fighting games. I feel like they're in kind of a same category where it's just niche enough that's never really gonna get its due. Maybe unless it's like it's gotta be like next level to like get into into
Unless you're like sort of an
yeah
anomaly and get nominated for like the game of the year thing, like say like with Smash Ultimate that
yeah
one year and stuff.
2018
But
yeah
even with that, for a fighting game to secure like a game of the year sort of aspect, it's got to go beyond, it's got to go above and beyond anything that came before
yeah
it. It's got to have not only support from the community, but universally acclaimed and stuff like that across the board. Which, to be perfectly honest, Street Fighter 6, when that released this year, there was a lot of praise for it. Obviously, there's a lot of this and a lot of that, and the community, the fighting game community, like ate that up. But at the same point, now we're seeing things with the game of the year stuff, and yeah, it's most likely going to be the fighting game of the year. But at the same point, it just contributes to more of what you were saying, though, is like games like say fighting games, racing games, even like certain like puzzle games or something like that, and other genres as well, are kind of those type of niche sort of genres to where you'll have some fantastic historically awesome games, but at the same point, when they release or something, they're not often inside of even the mentions of game of the year
yeah
lists, let alone like winning game of the
yeah. It's like
year.
Baldur's Gate 3 is a very niche type of game. It's a CRPG, D&D game. Like
Mm,
there's a decent amount of those like games on a smaller scale that come out every year, and and it's like this game is one of the biggest games of the year. So that's kind of like the list. It's like that's the closest thing we got to like usually we get like that indie game. It's like the kind of like the token indie game that like make the list, and
right.
or like maybe not like an indie game, but like a smaller game. Like it takes two, which I know is EA published game, but it's a smaller game on the grand scale of things, and it's
Yeah.
like that actually won in 2021. It's like, but like usually, yeah, we get like like the Limbo or not Limbo, Inside and Celeste. But this year's is too big. It's not. That's just not going to happen. So next up here, game direction. I've heard a lot of people hubbub about this one as well, because game direction is just so it's the rest of the categories have 5 nominees. This is literally the same ones except Resident Evil 4 is taken out. So you got Spider-Man 2, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Mario Wonder, Tears of the Kingdom. I've heard a lot of hubbub about this one. People upset. It's like, what's the difference between this and Game of the Year? Um, and I think most years it's like there's different nominees here. This year is just different because obviously it's a pretty big year, but like these games have so different the way they're done. But like there's like 2019 like Death Stranding won and it wasn't nominated for Game of the Year,
Hmm.
but it won Best Direction,
Right.
and it's like that game definitely won it because it's so different from anything else we played that year. And like I'm a guy that I took me 4 years to finally force my way through Death Stranding, but
Right.
like that game is so totally done differently than anything else we've done. Like yeah, it's hard to argue that. Like God of War Ragnarok won it last year, and it's like that game is the way that game is shot and made. It's totally different than any other way. Red Dead Redemption 2 won it. It's like but usually a lot of years we see games that aren't, it's a differently year. Yeah, you're gonna see some of the same games from Game of the Year, but typically we do see different games in this list. But it's just this year it's the same 5. But I don't know. I like the idea of the category, but some years you're gonna have shit like this. I feel like so. I don't know. What about you, Gables?
Yeah, you know what? For in terms of the game direction for this category, I mean, I don't have too many issues with this one either, only because, it's kind of like, in my personal opinion, setting up for like maybe one or two games to actually win that award. But then again, I'll come up with those prediction for next week. But at the same point, it's like you think about game direction, you're thinking of, okay, what is it that sets it apart from everything else? What is it that sets like differences in terms of what's new that got brought to the table, or did when they go and went to the story or the gameplay in a certain direction, did they fully execute on what they wanted to go for that rarely any other game does? It's like you got to keep some of those thoughts into consideration stuff. But as far as the game selections for this category, it's
Yeah,
fine. It's nothing like
yeah.
bad.
We will get into my issues with some of these nominees, but most of these I didn't have an issue with. Best narrative here we have Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk, Phantom Liberty specifically, Final Fantasy 16, Marvel Spider-Man 2. So three of the same games from Game of the Year, but we have Final Fantasy 16 and Phantom Liberty on here. Um, Once again, no real issues. And we'll get deeper dives into this next week. But yeah, no, I don't have any major problems with this one. What about you, Gables?
Okay, let's see for this one. Well, to be perfectly honest, I know it sounds like kind of like the same old song and dance and stuff, but I really don't have too many issues with this one
Yeah,
either. I mean, granted, I can understand what people were saying about Cyberpunk 2077 and stuff, but yeah, you know what? I'm fine
yeah.
with it.
Well, I think 'cause that
Fine.
one specifically the DLC. That's why it doesn't bother me because it's
Yeah.
focused on that. But yeah. Best art direction here we got Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Liza P, Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Wonder. I don't have a major problem with this one. The only one I'm like I kind of scratch my head a little bit at is the Tears of the Kingdom, albeit it's fucking gorgeous. I'm not saying that,
Hmm.
but it is the Breath of the Wild art design on Tears of the Kingdom again. So that's my only small gripe I have, I guess, with it. Like it's gorgeous. I'm not
We
doubting it because of that, but it's just like Alan Wake 2.
could
Go
also,
ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. I was just saying we could kind of the same. We could kind of say the same thing in terms of like say Liza P to some extent because it's like the artwork of it is fine from what I have seen and stuff, but yet it's kind of similar, not just in terms of like art style, but also in terms of like other features and stuff, similar to like
Yeah,
Bloodborne in
I
that
think a lot of that
regards.
also takes place though into like the enemy design and the character and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So it's not just like the graphical
right.
style of it, but yeah, like to me like Mario Wonder, Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, to me like
Hmm.
obviously should be finalists. I think. Yeah, I agree. Like Lies P maybe like a small gripe with, but it's just like um, Tears of the Kingdom is just kind of the one that like I don't know. It's like I'm not discounting. I'm not saying it's bad. Like I loved it. I love the way the game was fucking gorgeous. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't not like that's not something. That's not a hill I'm gonna die on. I guess. So yeah.
Yeah.
Next up here, best score in music. Tears of the Kingdom. Whoo. Final Fantasy 16. Whoo. Hi-Fi Rush. Yeah, boy. I love all this music. Alan Wake 2 and Baldur's Gate 3. I've heard some of the music. It fucking slaps. But I've not heard it in the context of the game. And sometimes it's the music in the context of what's happening in the game that hits you. Because
Absolutely.
Tears of the Kingdom and Final Fantasy 16, like there are moments where the music swells with the perfect opportunity of what's happening in the game. And those two games made me cry just from like how like the way that work together. Hi-Fi Rush, that music is fucking awesome. Alan Wake 2, very good music. Baldur's Gate 3, from what I've heard, out of context, very good. I don't have a major issue with this one. Again, I don't know. We're gonna get into like I said, we're gonna get into my issues here in a minute, but yeah, I don't know. Gables, anything? You got? Is there anything like maybe not snubbed, but is there something here that like you would like to maybe like there's something that you want to mention, I guess, because I can't really think of it. Like Mario Wonder, actually,
Hmm.
I just thought of that. Mario Wonder, there's some awesome musical notes in there that I'd love to see in there.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like we'll say with Mario Wonder, that also had a good soundtrack and stuff. I mean, I don't think that it was strong. I think it honestly could have made it onto this list and stuff, but at the same point, it's like you see the composition scores for say like Tears of the Kingdom, and Final Fantasy 16, which all the spur of the moment stuff like you were just talking about, and then like Hi-Fi Rush has a distinct like hip hop sort of like
Mm.
soundtrack and stuff, similar to like other types of like kind of like kind of reminiscent somewhat to say Jet Set Radio, but not like exactly what that initial game aimed for in terms of that. But every game inside of this category has strong ass
Mm.
music, and like I think Super Mario Wonder kind of is snubbed to some extent, but my gosh, there is definitely a couple more I could say though, but at the same point, I'm not thinking of anything off the top of my
Okay.
head. And that's a shame though, because even though there have been some great musical compositions put out with games this year and stuff, I can only really think of maybe two.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a strong year for music. Definitely. I mean, music just seems to getting better in every year in gaming. Um, so yeah, but once again, no major issues. Best audio design here is next. We got Alan Wake 2, Dead Space, Hi-Fi Rush, Resident Evil 4, Marvel Spider-Man 2, that is recognizing the best in-game audio and sound design. Obviously, horror games sound design is very important in those games, and I think like
Yes.
so you have three horror survival horror games in that list. Plus you got Hi-Fi Rush, which is totally built around sound design. Marvel Spider-Man 2, the PlayStation is very big on the 3D audio, so I'm guessing that's probably what it was for that one. Oh, and they had the Dolby Atmos update like a couple days after the game came out, so I bet, but that's probably what it is. Um, yeah, it's the survival horror game. Like I said, man, survival horror games. Like if you don't have great sound design, like what the fuck are we doing here? Um,
Oh yeah. Let's just say this, man. It's like when Dead Space Remastered came out and stuff, I had a chance to play like a few hours of that. I had my Pulse headsets
oh
on
yeah,
and stuff. And literally when you hear when you get a lot of like the you're moving around, all of a sudden you hear like the necromorphs and stuff, like their moans with this or that, they're just stirring around and stuff. It literally feels like, it really sounds like that they're back behind
mm-hmm.
you and stuff. That atmosphere, that sort of like sensation to where you feel kind of like a dread sort of motion or something as you're trying to go through like each area. It's like, okay, what's behind me? Okay, what's going on here? It's like, okay, I'm kind of a little bit paranoid here. I'm on edge and stuff. Yeah, games like Dead Space like remake and also Resident Evil 4 remake, I've had a chance to play with with headphones and stuff like that, and just the atmospheric way that they're able to interpret like certain sound placements and certain feel. It's
Yeah,
fantastic, absolutely
yeah,
fantastic. I advise anybody, if you play either one of those games, get yourself a good pair of gaming headsets. Make sure that the audio is like nice and crisp and stuff, and then like it's a good quality of it because it immerses you into another level.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh, Agreed. Um, Best performance here, we got Ben Starr, my boy, from Final Fantasy 16. Cameron Monaghan, I believe I say that. He is from Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Um, he is Cal Kestis. Idris Elba. I wish I put the name of the character here. Idris Elba, obviously, he's the one of the characters from Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. Melanie Libbard, I believe is how I say that. She played Saga Anderson in Alan Wake 2. Nubin from Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know. I think he's one of the main characters. I think he's the sexy dude with gray hair. And then Yuri
Ah,
Lowenthal, who is Peter Parker in Marvel Spider-Man 2. So, um, really great list here. Um, Ben Starr just seems like a cool dude. I follow him on Twitter. So he seems like a dude. And honestly, I wish his uncle from the game was nominated, even though like he has a very small part in the game. But every time we saw Clive, the main character that Ben Starr plays, he'd always say Clive, my boy, and I just randomly to myself will just say Clive, my boy. I have no idea why, but I just do it. I just love that guy so fucking much. So I don't know. Like once again, no major issues here. Issues here.
I can't really add much to it and stuff because I really didn't play too much of like a lot of these games in this category to really like know which ones are good or bad, like representations of voice
Yeah.
acting.
I skipped a few ahead here because like accessibility and like that's just not what we know. But I went on the
No.
best ongoing here. Apex Legends, Cyberpunk 2077, Final Fantasy 14, Genshin Impact, Fortnite. A lot of the usual suspects here. Cyberpunk is one I've been seeing a lot of pushback on. I once again do not have a problem with this one because it's like this isn't. People are like, oh well, it's because the game's done now. That shouldn't count. And I agree. But what this is like they've had two major updates to this game that weren't bug fixes, like totally redesigns of like the skill
Hmm.
tree and progression and everything like that. And on top of that, they had the big deal, the Phantom Liberty drop. To me, that would go in the ongoing category. If it was just bug fixes, yeah,
Right.
fuck off. Yeah, that's I agree. But the people that voted for this as a contender, I don't think we're voting because hey, they finally fixed the game 3 years later. I think they because they had the 1.5 update this year. They had the big 2.0 update with
Hmm.
when Phantom Liberty came out. That totally redesigned the entire game and changed like the way you play a lot of the games, like the way like the police work in the game and everything like that. They totally redid a lot of that. So um, I get where they're coming from. Obviously, I didn't like Cyberpunk the main game, so uh, to me, this like I don't have and I play Fortnite every now and again, but it's like I don't none of these games are like I have like any major problems with. It's just a lot of it's just kind of a boring category because it's just a lot of the same usual suspects every year.
I don't really have too much either in terms of like issues with a lot of the ongoing category and stuff. I understand the arguments for Cyberpunk, but at the same time, every single one of these games are like considered like say ongoing sort of like games and stuff. You know, just really don't have too much to add to
Yeah,
this one,
yeah.
unfortunately.
I do want to just for the best community support. A lot of people were mad because Destiny 2 wasn't here. Obviously, with the major layoffs and everything happened, it did come out that the votes were put in before the layoffs happened. So that's why Destiny 2 was probably nominated. If the votes happened pre Destiny 2, obviously it wouldn't have probably happened. But
Yeah,
so
yeah. It's still funny post haste after all of those layoffs and stuff that Destiny 2 would be even remotely like considered like a nominated for like a best community type of thing because
well,
oh
so best
god.
community is for outstanding community support, transparency, responsiveness, social media activity, game updates, and patches. And you look at the category, it's I mean outside of Baldur's Gate 3, which was an early access game, they've been doing tons of updates and shit like that throughout the year. Cyberpunk 2077's in there, what we just talked about. No Man's Sky, Final Fantasy 14. It's basically like you look every year, it's like best ongoing game in community support. Most years you're gonna have like the
Mhm.
exact same list every year, except for like maybe one or two difference, and for the most part, it's basically what it is. So, yeah, but yeah, if they I think they pretty much if the votes would have happened literally like 3 or 4 days earlier or later, I think people would have taken that off the list. So, um,
Honestly, I would think that the biggest thing I have against this one is like just having Destiny 2 in general, not just because of the whole layoff stuff, but even before then and also the launch of like Lightfall and all this other stuff, plus everything else that's been sort of interwoven that's led up to the point of all these developers and stuff being released. You know, it's just been such a kind of like whirlwind for the Destiny 2 community in and of itself. But yeah, it does not deserve that nomination for this
no,
award. Absolutely 100% feel that it
yeah.
doesn't. But I mean, hell, if there was another game I would think that probably would go into its place, I mean that maybe not so much better, give or take what you who you talk to. World of Warcraft probably would go into that category.
I mean, well, they've had a rough year as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I know,
I don't know
I
who.
know.
Yeah, just I don't know who could have got that one. That spot. Anyways, best independent game. This is the first time Gables where this is another big ordeal that's been going on. So, best independent game for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside of traditional publisher. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we have Cocoon, Dredge,
Yeah. Yep.
Viewfinder, Sea of Stars.
Uh-huh.
The last
Uh-huh.
game, Dave the Diver. So Dave Diver, phenomenal game. People love that game. It's one of the most
Yes.
beloved games of the year. Dave the Diver,
Raving
yes,
reviews.
is
Yes.
owned by Nexon, which is a I believe company based out of South Korea, if I'm not mistaken. It's either that or
Mm-hmm.
Taiwan. I cannot remember. It is I think it's Taiwan. Or yeah. Anyways, this is a multi-billion-dollar company that did not buy Mint Rocket, who made Dave the Diver. They created Mint
Mm-hmm.
Rocket, and then had made the studio to then make Dave the Diver. Um, so this is my issue that I have with some of these categories we're gonna get on here on out is that I feel like the wording needs to be better because there's I almost feel like maybe we need another a category for like I don't know what the name would be. I don't even know what like what's the description mean. What is that? But like a category for like I don't know like um it's like Shredder's Revenge last year. Like that wasn't gonna really
Mm-hmm.
win any of like the bigger like it was gonna it got a couple nominations, but it was like good, just good for you for being nominated type of thing. Um, like I would love it to like that game is too big to be independent because it is not an independent studio, uh, but it is smaller than a fucking Tears of the Kingdom or Final Fantasy 16. Like it's just not on the same level. I would like, if possible, there was another category made for stuff like that in between. Like I guess like the triple I, where it's like it's a bigger budget. They have um, bigger pockets. Like they are making like like they are working. They're owned by a bigger company, stuff like that. But it's a smaller game. Um, Kind of like a Pentiment, which was an Xbox made game. It was made by 15 people. Um, Obsidian, like something like that, like be in that category, like a Dave the Diver be in that category as well, or like I don't know, if fucking uh, 6 people at Nintendo put a game together. Like we've seen that happen before. A small team decided to make a
Mm.
small game. They just put it out in the eShop. Uh, like I like a different category for that, and I feel like Dave Diver should be in there in that category. Even Mint Rocket themselves even said that they are not an independent game. So um,
Then that just makes me question why. What it just makes me question what the hell is an independent game then? If you're allowing like somebody like say with Nexon and stuff like that, creating the studio, putting out a indie like game and stuff, but technically not an indie game and Dave the
yeah,
Diver,
well,
it doesn't make any
to
sense.
me, like this is like where the narrative, like the description fails it, where it's outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside of traditional publisher system. I feel like it's too vague because then I was starting hearing people like,
It
well,
is.
technically EA is a fucking independent company. Like, no, fuck off. That's like, government made like the like for like porn. They're basically what they said about porn is you know it when you see it, and that's kind of where you decide like
Mhm.
what is porn and what's not. And I feel like when you look at it like when it's indie game, you know it's indie game when you see it, kind of thing. And maybe that's the issue.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I guess that kind of goes against it because like you look at David Diver, it's like it looks like an indie game. Like if you don't Google like because let's face it, like I love Cocoon. I couldn't tell you. I see it now. Geometric Interactive made this game. I didn't know who made it. Um, like I most indie games that I played are most indie games that most people play. Um, they probably don't remember the name of the studio that made it. So I don't begrudge people for not knowing that this is a multi-billion-dollar company that made the studio. To then they didn't buy the studio, they made the studio, so it doesn't bother me too much on that end. But it's like I don't know. I see people like maybe Jeff needs to go in and like put the kibosh when that comes in, or like there's a group of people that like hey decide like if that's a like the vote when the nominees come in, it's like okay, well this is disqualified, and then someone else takes its place. I don't know if I like that because it's like it can get some weird gray areas. I don't really know if I like because like Jeff has talked about in interviews where he's like, like if people enough people vote for Fortnite to be game of the year, like if I'm not gonna stop people from doing that. He's like, um, so I get that. Like he's a little more hands off on that. Like he lets people kind of decide it, but um,
Mhm.
something I like, and it's never gonna be perfect. There'll never be a perfect system for anything. Like we see this in all awards shows, every award event, whether it's sports, Oscars, Emmys. There's always gonna be some issues. Um, but this is one where it's like, yeah, like we that one should be gone. But like overall, I don't have a problem with it being like a nominated for something. But like, yeah, it doesn't fit this category. But it's like I think it's one of those things where it's like people really love Dave the Diver, and it's like one of those cases where it's like it just fits in no other category. Like it's not gonna like it's not an action game. It's not an RPG. It's not an adventure game. It's not good enough to beat these other games in Game of the Year or Best Game Direction. So it's like people are just like this is one of those things where it's like well this is where it's gonna go. So I don't know. Any final thoughts on this one, Gables?
No, no parting thoughts, nothing of the sort. I think I pretty much said what I wanted to
Okay.
say.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna skip a few here. No. Best ARVR, no. Best action game. All right, Gables. Here's where we're gonna get into some of my gripes. All
Oh,
right. So
okay.
best action game. We have Armored Core 6, Dead Island 2,
Hmm.
Ghost Runner 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Remnant 2. All right, we're gonna go to the next one here, Gables. Best action
Okay.
adventure. Alan Wake 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This one doesn't bother me. Get to the next one here.
Uh-huh.
Best RPG. Starfield, Baldur's Gate 3, Sea of Stars. So far, so good. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Last two. Final Fantasy 16, Liza P. How are. Oh.
How are either of them
So here's the
RPGs?
issue that we're in nowadays with gaming. I thought some of these were kind of dumb. Even reading Nintendo Power back 20 plus years ago now, or like they'd have best action game, best action. Like I think the whole action adventure thing is kind of muddy. I didn't make they make sense to me then. Nowadays, we see so many. Every game nowadays has RPG mechanics. They have level up systems. They have skill trees, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
When I see best action game, to me, I see Ghost Runner 2. I see Hi-Fi Rush. I see even Remnant 2, and I would say those are action games. When I think action game, I think Hi-Fi Rush. I think Devil May Cry. I think Platinum games.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at action
Yes.
adventure, I think of games that focus on combat but are in like open environments, open world, like a Resident Evil 4, Marvel Spider-Man, like a Far Cry, Tears of the Kingdom, Star Wars Jedi, Alan Wake 2. Like those are technically, yeah, I action adventure games. I look at RPG, Baldur's Gate 3, Sea of Stars, Starfield, definitely RPGs. Like Starfield has
Mm-hmm.
really good combat, but it is built around your character and developing your character, role playing your character. This, but then you have Lies of P and Final Fantasy 16 here. This is where like I feel like we need to like figure some shit out here. And it's been an issue for multiple
Oh
years now, but
yeah.
this one is just like, why is Dead Island 2? How is that different than um, Lies of P or Final Fantasy 16? As far as like I know, obviously they're different games or Armored Core 6. Like those games, kind of like they're in open air. I don't. I guess I should. I don't really know too much about Armored Core 6, but like Dead Island 2, Final Fantasy 16, Lies of P, open areas, open world. Uh, how they're not different? They're not really different games as far as like a genre. I would say they're action adventure games, and they're in different categories.
Yeah, that's the thing though. That's the thing though. With a lot of these RPG mechanics and the RPG elements like splashed into just random action games and stuff, they try to get by the bare minimum of like being like an actual RPG or trying to get away with just being an action RPG and this and that. But when it comes to Final Fantasy 16, obviously there's things that can be a little bit more in depth in terms of what you can do, but at the core scheme of things and stuff, you're still slashing stuff. You're still doing things like in an action game sort of way, all these set pieces, all this other stuff, I mean, you're not like spending like predominantly like just 20 minutes on like just one battle or something like that. Just have to meticulously planning out
Well, Gables,
all these
you
different
you
types
didn't
of
you didn't do
things,
some
right?
of those boss fights are fucking like huge. So
Well,
so but yeah,
I
for the
know,
most
I
part,
know. I've
I agree.
only Yeah, for the most part, yes, I understand what you're talking about. But when it comes to Liza P, I mean, it's in the same range in my honestly, as like say like with the Bloodborne and stuff, to where yeah, that's predominantly an action game, has some RPG mechanics and stuff. I mean, Elden Ring is
Action
definitely
adventure.
inside those same action adventure sort of like reigns and stuff, even though people considered it like one of the best RPGs of last year. But oh man, it's like you give this category and stuff for like basically anything for like RPG stuff. It's like Baldur's Gate 3, I can completely understand. Turn-based RPG stuff, a lot of meticulous planning for each character, a lot of meticulous like set pieces and stuff. I mean, I get that. Starfield, yeah, I get that too, because you can create all these different builds, all these different types of like ways and stuff. I mean, it has a lot of player choice
Yeah.
in what you can do. But I would have personally have loved to see like other RPGs make it into this sort of category,
Octopath
even
Traveler
like
2.
say if well, Octopath Traveler 2, that's definitely been something I've been seeing recommended, but Sea of Stars
That
comes
is
to mind
nominated.
too. Oh yeah, Sea of Stars. God damn it, I'm not paying attention well enough. But yeah, Sea of Stars definitely belongs on this list. But yeah, Octopath Traveler 2 is one. I would honestly think that even like say a remaster of like say Star Ocean Second Story would belong
Yeah.
somewhat on this list as opposed to say Liza P and Final Fantasy 16. Don't get me wrong, both of those games have great quality in terms of what they do right, and both of them have great reviews and stuff to it. But as far as an RPG goes, I mean, oh man, those games are just listed right now in terms of like say with Sea of Stars, Starfield, Baldur's Gate 3 and stuff like that. And then even like what I was saying before with Star Ocean second like story and remaster and stuff and Octopath Traveler 2, it's like that to me it screams of an RPG list. not just because of how much choice, but because of how much other shit that's involved inside this stuff.
Yeah,
But but yeah, it's like would have made better sense though is Liza P probably being inside of like with the action game
yeah, or
category
action adventure. Yeah, like
or action
yeah, they just
adventure.
that's something I want them to go. Like I get what they're doing here is people are trying to like they want to nominate more games, and they, yeah, like these
Yeah,
categories are kind of muddy to begin with. It's hard. I understand why it's hard. It's difficult to like okay, where to, like you can make the argument of like what's an action game, what's an action adventure, what's it technically has this, so it can go here. I think somewhere where, like where Jeff and the company needs to like get involved and like give some examples or like I don't know like do like this is something like I like yeah we want to give up more awards because if you get rid of like the game genre awards then you have like 10 fucking awards to give out so you want to make more. I get it. um and people want to nominate more games instead of we just see the same 5-6 games over and over again. So I get like people are like, hey, I like this game a lot. What's good? We want to let's put it here and stuff. But
well, yeah,
and I
absolutely.
understand that. I'm just I'd probably be the same way if I was part of the nomination crew. But like yeah, that needs to be worked on. We got speed run some of these Gables here. Best fighting game: God of Rock, Mortal Kombat 1, Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl 2, Pocket Bravery rather, and Street Fighter 6. So
Yeah, no issues
no,
with that. I mean, that's basically what I would
yeah,
have
no
thought.
seafood this year, so that helps. Best family game: Disney Illusion Island, Party Animals, Pikmin 4, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Sonic Superstars. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with this list. I don't mind it
Yeah,
whatsoever.
best sim strategy. Yeah, we're gonna skip that one. Who cares? Uh, best sports racing.
we
Who cares? Best multiplayer. Who cares? Best adaptation here. This will be the last one we do. Castlevania Nocturne. That is that anime on Netflix. Gran Turismo the movie. Last of Us the TV show. Twisted Metal the TV show, and Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Pretty great list actually. Like, not a bad movie TV show on this list. I'd say. So yeah, but pretty good so far. Like we'll do a full like prediction list next week, but we just kind of want to go through that one by one before we do all
right.
that. But let's move on, Gables, to the next thing here. We had an indie showcase this week. Um, I was gonna do a live reaction when I got home from work, and then I was just like, no, I'm too tired, and I just never did it. So and Gail's kind of happy I didn't,
Yeah.
because there wasn't. I mean, obviously, look, I say this every time with these like indies with like whenever the state of plays happen and it's like focused on third party indie stuff or the
Yes.
Xbox one we had just recently, and then like Nintendo indie stuff. Where it's like sometimes it's like it's totally different. Like there's been indie events where like I loved it and Gables didn't, or Gables loved it and I'm just like whatever. It is the indie games are very personable for people. So we're gonna run through some of these. So Black Chimera. This is a fuck. It's coming in spring 2024. It is like a future punk Castlevania style game. So 2D, Metroidvania. Looks pretty cool, but I'm not a Metroidvania guy. What about you,
Yeah.
Gables?
Honestly, I kind of like the look of the game. I mean, I did like that more action focused, more like it definitely had a lot more intrigue than the vast majority of the games that were presented on here. So yeah, I sort of like
Yeah.
that one.
Next up here we have the star named Eos. It's the first person puzzle exploration game where you get memories through like photos and like you go into like the memories through the photos. It's coming out in spring 2024. Uh, Looks beautiful. I like the art design. It's not a me game.
I share the same
Yeah.
sentiment.
Uh, we have Moonstone Island. Is a just a cozy looking game. It is like a it's a like it's like a deck builder game. Um, I don't know. It's coming in spring. I don't know, Gables. It's man, a lot of these just did not do anything for me. I'm sorry.
That's the thing. That's the thing about this indie direct and stuff. I mean, you and I kind of share the same sentiments really to where there wasn't really much that either of us could really latch on to because quite honestly, a lot of these indie games appeal to certain audiences and quite honestly, I mean, that's fine. That's okay, but it just really came off as sort of like a lame duck in all things considered.
Yeah,
Because it's like you get this indie direct thing that's announced. It's like, oh hey, and it's like, and of course other people take things to the next level because that's what they
yeah.
do, or they expect the moon and stuff, but get severely disappointed and stuff with like not one of the biggest games or
Silk
something
Song
like
wasn't
that
there.
gets. like Silk
Yeah.
Song or whatsoever. I mean, I even know I even knew going into this thing that Silk Song's not going to be a thing
No.
in this thing. I mean, it's going to be something completely set. Either Team Cherry's going to go through and announce that themselves on their YouTube page or wherever or on Twitter, or it's going to be at the Game
Or it's
Awards.
yeah, or
I
it's gonna
mean,
be like at a main show for one of the big three. Yeah.
yes,
It's too big
absolutely.
for an indie thing at this point. Next up here, On Your Tails. It is a like investigative game where you like everybody in the game is like their animals, and like kind of a cute little island town here it looks like. And I don't know, I thought like I love the art design of it. It looks it's very charming. Coming out in 2024. Like you're just trying to solve mysteries, kind of like Detective Pikachu, but that style of game. If you're into like an investigative style game, that's there for you. Planet Lana is coming to Switch. No release date or anything like that, but it said next spring. So we did have that.
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
good game.
I love that game. It's a great game. Uh, Outer Wilds is coming December 7th actually to
Huh?
Switch, but so looks decent. Looks very switchy though on there. So if that's something you're into, Braid was announced. We talked about last week. I already got a release date for April 30th, but that is coming to Switch
Yeah.
as well on April 30th. We had Death Trick Double Blind. It is a it's a visual novel. I was trying to remember like what fucking game is this. I watched it again today to like just refresh my memory because I watched it. What was that, Tuesday night? And I just totally forgot half the shit. So watch it again. It's a visual novel game, and investigative game that is coming in 2024. There's a demo out now if you were interested in that. Uh,
Hmm.
Gables, stop me if there's anything you want to talk about here. A Highland song. Now this Gables is what I call
Hmm.
my shit. So this is
Okay.
it's a exploration rhythm cozy game here where like you are like it's all 2D side scroller, but like you like move to the beat and like you're
Hmm.
climbing like mountains and like going through the wilderness and like but then like you got like pick your path and like the story changes based on your path. I just like the art design. I like the vibes of this game. Some cool music. It's coming out December 5th. Now this I don't know if I'm gonna play it December 5th because there's a lot of shit I want to play right now. But um, this is what I would put into the my shit category for Tyler. So
Nah.
and then last but not least here, Shantae Advance. Did we get a release date on this one?
I
Next
don't think
year.
we got a release
It said
date,
next year, so that was all we got. But yeah, that is. I know Gables. You're kind of excited for this one, aren't you?
dude. Dude, this is my shit
All
when it
right,
comes to that
that's some
stuff
Gable shit.
because it is definitely this is definitely something I would have played if this game would have released initially on the Game Boy Advance. I mean, I was so into the fucking Game Boy Advance. I had all like the major games that from like high school all the way up until like around, like whichever and stuff until like around the DS release. But yeah, Shantae Advance, it looks fairly good. And I'm glad they went through and did the initial announcement for the Switch and stuff because there were some people that were afraid this was going to be like a Game Boy Advance game only as a limited run. Which, yeah, I think it's cool that they have that option. But yet the look of the game itself is really reminiscent of that classic sort of like 2001, 2003 style of Game Boy Advance games. Different types of things you can do inside of that game and stuff, like changing things the foreground, background, doing all this other stuff. But it really looks like it's going to be a fun
Yeah.
time. And quite honestly, it's the thing about it is it's like it's just a relic of like a lost era,
Yes.
and that's more or less what I like. I love my retro styled games, and I definitely love it when you have classic games that were never completed back when all of a sudden get re-released in modern times because it's basically a slice of the past that never released, but now you get a chance to
Yeah.
enjoy
It's
it.
always cool to see like comebacks like that. We don't see that shit in gaming really ever, so that's pretty awesome. And
Mm-mm.
it's funny because that game's finally coming out, even though like they've made sequels of that based off of that game, and it just
Yeah,
never came out. So it's just funny to me.
dude. Dude, I think it's really funny that in the past like 5 years or something like that, we have had a slew of games that were considered canceled at one point, all of a sudden get redone and stuff like that and released in modern days. Metroid Dread was a game like that literally was like that for
Yeah, like 15
years.
years. So yeah,
Yeah, for 15 years. And Shantae Advance, hell, there's still videos on YouTube of that prototype that was shown and stuff all those years ago of that game. And it looks And the looks for this game that they got for what they're going to release and stuff, it's definitely you could see a lot of the influence from back from those prototypes and stuff. But it's just so amazing that games like that are getting
Yeah.
re-released. Oh God, so
Yeah.
good.
So overall, I mean, it's whatever direct for I think for us, but I mean, there's like I said, there's been multiple where that come out of it. There's like 3 or 4 games. I'm excited for. The last one they had, I was actually thought was awesome. So yeah, well, yeah, the people out there they loved it. Sorry for poo pooing it maybe for you a little bit, but if you're happy, I hope you're happy. But next up, Gables. Let's get into one of my favorite things of the month here. We got the
Mm.
Circana report for October. Few things
Mm-hmm.
here. Spider-Man 2 sold over 5 million units in 11 days, becoming already the 4th best-selling game of the year. Uh, Super Mario
Damn.
Wonder sold 4.3 million units in the first 2 weeks. It's already the fastest-selling Mario game of all time. Interesting though, Gables, that Spider-Man 2 is actually had a better start. Come out the same day, had a better start, even though it's
Yeah.
on less than half of the consoles of a Switch. I thought that's kind of
Right.
crazy. I never thought, like we talk about Switch games being on steroids for as far as sales go. Obviously, Mario Wonder will have a much longer tail and will greatly surpass Spider-Man 2, but kind of a cool little
Absolutely.
initial start there for Spider-Man. Even though it's like Spider-Man 2018 is the highest selling PlayStation game of all time, but no surprise there. But kind of surprised at the start. Next up here, Alan Wake 2 is not on the list because it's digital only, and Epic does not give digital sales numbers. And plus, it came out the 27th, so it only had like 2 days on the list or something like that, a few days on the list. So
Ah.
even if it could have been on the list, it only had a few days, but it won't be. Um, haven't confirmed this yet, but there's 9 new games in the top 20 list here, and potentially might be the most ever for a month to have 9 new games on the top 20 list. And then
Huh.
Gables, just like Undertaker's WrestleMania streak, one of the greatest streaks in our history of video gaming, Mario Kart 8, after 78 straight months of being in the top 20 list, is no longer on the top 20 list.
Bro. I gotta do like a quick little mathematic thing, dude. It's like 78 weeks
Yeah, so what
straight.
is that? 60 is 5,
That's like six and a
six
half
and a half years.
years.
Yeah, so that is the Switch
Jeez.
launch. That does not include um, um, the Wii U version. So it's been on here every month since the Switch one came out, April 2017, and
Yep.
is finally off the list, off the top 20 list here. So pretty nice little run there for that game, especially being a Wii U port. It's even more incredible. Um,
Oh my God, yes.
so here's the top 20 here. So Lords of the Fallen is number 20. That does not include digital sales though, so we don't know. But we know that game sold I think like over 1 million units its first week. So pretty cool, pretty good for that game.
Huh.
Yeah. Minecraft at number 19. It's slowly dropping further and further down. So maybe that streak will be over. Actually, Minecraft might be on this list longer than Mario Kart 8. Well, maybe we might find out next month because it is 19 and it might be out next month. Next up here, number 18, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Number 17, Forza Motorsport. Um, Part of that is because Forza Motorsport had the early release was on the early release sales. Like people that paid like the either the extra $30 if you have Game Pass or pay the $100 to get the game early. That was on last month, so the bulk of that money was on that one. So and then it's also on Game Pass. So that's probably why it's at 17. And then number 16 here, the Crew Motorfest. Pretty shocking how well that game's doing. It's already in the top, I think like top 15 best-selling games of the year. Um, Number 15 here, Elden Ring, still holding strong. Pretty big drop here for number 1 last month. Now at number 14, Starfield. Um, Obviously, this is based off dollars, not sales. But
Yes.
probably a lot of that money was because people bought it early on either PC or like someone like me paid the extra that plays on Game Pass, paid the extra $30 to get it 5 days early. So you got it for Labor Day weekend, so that's probably why, and also it's on Game Pass. So we see this a lot with like Xbox exclusive games where they have that initial big launch and then they kind of fall fast because most people just play it on Game Pass. Number
Yep.
13 here, NBA 2K24. Number 12, Gables, another brand new, well, kind of new game, Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. Uh, yeah, so suckers. dumbasses buying Metal Gear Solid Master Volume Collection 1. Not talking about myself here. I totally didn't buy that game already. Anyways, moving on. Number 10 here. Or no, number 11 here. It was 10 last month. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 still selling strong, even though the new one's about to come out at that point,
Right.
anyways, in October. Number 10, Hogwarts Legacy, and now we get into a lot of new shit. Number 9, fucking so disappointed in everybody out there. Sonic Superstars.
Are you that surprised, man? I
I'm
mean,
just
come
disappointed.
on.
I'm not surprised. I'm just disappointed. It's like I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. In gamers out there. It's like, come on, man. They're never gonna learn. It's like I said it over a year ago. You guys are in an abusive relationship. It's like, oh, it's a really good 7, and people are just happy to take 7s. It's like, I don't know, man. Like maybe you should expect a Mario Wonder every now and again. I don't know. Like maybe start expecting it, and maybe they'll actually like put some effort into it and like give you a good game instead of just giving you shit Sonic games for 30 plus years. Piece of shit games that don't actually matter. It's like, oh,
I'm not
I'm a
touching that.
hedgehog that goes fast, and I eat chili dogs. Why the fuck do I eat chili dogs? I don't know. They just had to give me a wacky thing to do. Fuck off. Tails, fuck you too. Knuckles, you're okay. Um, that silver dude, go fuck yourself too. Number 8, NHL 24. There's a respectable organization, NHL, unlike Sonic. Um, the Sonic of sports, UFC, number 7, UFC 5. Number 6 here, Mortal Kombat 1, dropping down from number 2 from the previous month. Number 5, EA Sports FC 24. I gotta get used to saying FC 24 now. Number 4, hold number 4 here, Madden NFL 24. And finally, the top 3 brand new games. Number 3 here, pretty shocking,
Mhm.
Gables. Assassin's Creed Mirage. Yeah.
Hey, people want some traditional
Yeah,
Assassin's
well,
Creed.
I'm
Hey.
happy about this one because that means it did also come out like I think like October 7th or something like that. So it had pretty much most of the
Hmm.
month to get sales. But
Yeah.
this is based off dollar amount, not individual copies sold. And this is a $50 game instead of a $70 game or a $60 game. So um,
And it's not bloated.
yeah, and so it does help. It's been 3 years since we've had Assassin's Creed, so that does help. But like also like hey, maybe this will show them hey like maybe in between your big one, give us a smaller one because I own the game. I've yet played the game. I'm so fucking buried in games right now. Games is not even funny. Uh, that I haven't got a chance to
Hmm.
really actually dive into it, but I'm excited. I'm actually really excited to jump into that game here soon. Number 2, we've already talked about these other ones. Mario Wonder. Number 1, Marvel Spider-Man 2. Pretty cool list. It's always exciting to get into this time of year when we have like those big months, but pretty like
Yeah.
obviously one of the biggest months we've had since we've been kind of talking about the NPD/Circana report. But anything kind of sticking out to you there, Gables?
Honestly, when it comes to a lot of these new games and stuff, I mean, the only major sticking out is like, well, Mario Kart 8 finally fell off the list. And then Minecraft being at number 19. I mean, yeah, that's a shocker too, because I mean, that's a strong force as well. It just feels like this year has been more so of long-standing games that have been around on this list for years now are finally slipping out of the top
Yeah,
20.
yeah, we're seeing a lot of those like Switch games that have been out for several years have finally fallen off, and so yeah, definitely. Any final opinions on piece of shit Sonic fans?
Hey man, I ain't gonna say anything bad
All
about
right,
it.
Gables. All right, that's fine. You can tell me off air what your real opinions are on shitty Sonic fans. But till then, we gotta move on. Gables, it happened. It's finally
What?
happened. Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, baby. Let's fucking go. Let's go. It's happened, Gables. It's coming out January 19th. This was supposed to be a Game Awards announcement. Gables, I feel awful for the I said this last time. The last 2 times this happened now. This is the third straight Naughty Dog game they put out that has been leaked by PlayStation. And not like there was rumors before, but like PlayStation like websites or their back end of the PSN store posted this shit early.
I swear to God, they do this on purpose.
Once is an accident, two is kind of a trend, three is just kind of like what the like. Are you guys being just now? You're just being assholes. I I just feel bad for those people over there as far as like they want to just do something cool. Like here's a big announcement for the Game Awards. Um, we noticed with the Game Awards, like someone leaked the trailer with the Game Awards watermark on of the Game Awards trailer um, on it. So yeah, so they just ended up posting it. It's out, coming out January 19th. Really great thing here is it will have, in fact, a $10 upgrade for people that do already own the game on PS4. So that's awesome. Kind of continuing that trend because I think there's a lot of concern from a lot of gamers out there that that are excited to play this game that like we've seen them. They did Last of Us Part One, and like yeah, it's gorgeous. It looks a lot better, but they charge full price $70 for that for a remake of a
Hmm.
10 year old 9-year old game at that point. It's like I bought it, but it's like man, I did not like. I was a little disappointed in myself for buying it, but like, I still love the game. I had a great time, but it's like kind of go fuck yourself, on that one. But I don't know. It's like I also after owning a Wii U bought like every fucking Wii U port in the Switch too, like an idiot. So then like half of them I barely played. So I don't know.
I have no regrets inside of buying the Wii U ports for Switch. I'd love to be playing them.
Gables, Gables,
What?
look at me. Did you buy the Sonic Boom port to Switch?
No,
Look,
no, there was no Sonic Boom port to
all right,
Switch.
good. I didn't. I was testing you there in that one. I don't know. So but there wasn't one. So that tells me you probably Googled to see if there was one, and you were going to buy if there was one. So that's what it tells me, Gables. Um, yeah. Anyways, um, yeah, but I don't know. Like we've seen this with like the Death, like people were talking about like, oh well, this might be a director's cut, and but it's like we've seen in the past, like they put them out usually for like $50 or so if you don't already own it, but like if you do, like Death Stranding, like they added a ton of content with the director's cut. Ghost of Tsushima did the same thing. And it's like it was $10 upgrade. Just Ghost of Tsushima did have like the $30 DLC pack they added, like the huge expansion.
Right.
But like yeah, I don't mind paying $10, especially when they're adding new things to it, an extra $10. And this one is adding a roguelike mode, no return, so you could play as a lot of like Tommy. You could play as oh fuck, I forgot. It's been I forgot. I just went to go say the other characters a lot. I forgot their name. It's gone now. But like Tommy and some of the other characters that you could play as in the main game, you could play as them. They have different like different abilities, different ways they play, and like every time you play the roguelite mode it is different. So that's pretty cool. And there's one of the really cool things I'm actually interested in checking out is the lost levels. So this is like content. There's 3 different levels in the game that were like in early development that just didn't make it into the final game, and you can actually like play through those areas. They're not finished, but they're like different. They're like you can go in and like explore these areas and like see what was supposed to be there. And I love cool shit like that. Like when they had like the Braid remaster, the anniversary collection or anniversary they're doing is like Jonathan Blow is doing has like 15 hours of like commentary for the game. Like I love cool shit like that, and like that's something I'm definitely gonna like want to check into. But I've talked about like there's been rumors and like the composer last year like blatantly talked about how he's doing some shit um, for this game because he's actually a character in the game as well, a small character but he's in the game,
Mm-hmm.
and I've talked about like I played that game originally in 2020 as fast as I could because I was so worried about being spoiled about the story and like that because obviously it was a huge leak and then just people being assholes on the internet, um, that I kind of rushed through that game quickly because I didn't want that being ruined for me. So I'm kind of excited to go back. I mean, I'm not excited because that game is it's rough to play through, as far as like just where that story goes and everything. But I am looking forward to like playing that game again and just like go knowing what's gonna happen, but just like play through that game again and be able to take my time and just like actually really enjoy the game without being like I'm gonna be stressed out, but not stressed out. I'm not gonna be stressed. I'm gonna be stressed from what I'm doing in the game, and not because I'm worried about the
Right.
game being ruined for me. So I am looking forward to that as a fan. So yeah, I know Gables that the Last of Us Part Two is not your shit. So, um, but
Well, let's see. What do I have to say about this? I'm not surprised that they went through and announced it because it was definitely leaked beforehand, even with rumors of there being a remaster for this game. Much like with Last of Us Part 1 that was released on the PS5 and stuff. I don't get why that they went through and did like remasters of this stuff this close from like the last iteration or
well,
something. Especially with Last of Us Part
yeah,
2. I mean, granted, it's like what 3 years old and it's already getting a
yeah. Well, I
remaster.
mean, yeah, maybe the remaster thing. I don't know. I guess it's like it's the best thing they can probably. I like the director's cut thing like they did for like Ghost and but we've seen this like think what else? There was they've had several games like Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man like 2018 got a remaster. We've seen like we 5 or 6 games, 5 or 6 PS4 games
Hmm.
have gotten these remaster treatments. They're really, I don't know.
Right.
I guess I don't like kind of like when Nintendo calls them like deluxe usually. Like essentially, I guess that's just kind of their wording for it. Like or like I don't know, Kojima did Death Stranding was director's cut. So I don't know. Definitely maybe could change the name because it's not just a remaster. They are adding new content. So maybe I like kind of like the idea of the director's cut, but I don't know. I guess it's just like people know what remastered means, so they just call it remaster. So
Well, I will say is I'm glad I know what the differences are going to be with, say, The Last of Us Part 2 remaster as opposed to, say, the original, because I was not made aware of the initial features that were presented for this version itself. But it's going to be kind of curious to see what other types of changes they made inside of that game. I mean, granted, yeah, I mean, there are definitely a bunch of things that people find controversial about it, but at the same point, yeah,
probably
you're absolutely
probably
correct,
dumb
Tyler.
Sonic
It's
fans. Yeah,
But at the same point, Tyler, it's like you're correct, man. It's like this is not my shit, and as a matter of fact, I'll still hold it to where this game pretty much killed the franchise for me. So I'm like saying, nah, I'm good. I'm
Gables
good.
own
You enjoy what you can
Gables owns
enjoy.
Sonic Boom on Switch. That's right, I said it. He owns it. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm excited. I think the reason they're doing this is because like Last of Us is bigger now than it was when this game came out because of the TV show. So they could put this on the PSN store. And they could put
Oh yeah,
PS5 boxes
absolutely.
on the shelves, just like the reason why the Last of Us Part One got the remake last year. It's that way they could put, hey, like this big TV show's out now, more people are aware of it. We saw that when
Hmm.
it's worked out for them because when the TV show came out, sales spiked, just like the Mario movie, sales
Yep,
spiked of the Mario games.
it makes
Yeah,
sense.
it makes sense to do this business wise, and hey, there's a want for it, so I get
And plus, when the season two comes out for the TV show, I would think that this is probably going to be
yeah.
released close to around the same
Well,
time.
this is coming out in January, so and Last of Us doesn't
Okay,
start season two films doesn't start filming until January, so that'll probably be out the end of next
okay,
year. So, but it's kind of like we talk about this.
okay,
It's this
that
thing I've
makes
been talking about
sense.
for years now about like they get like they kind of like triple dip a little bit here, where it's like Witcher had the initial launch, then they I don't know, it's not triple dip here, but like Witcher 3 came out, launched, sold super duper well. TV show came out, fucking was bigger then than it was. We've seen Cyberpunk do the same thing. Like now we're seeing this with
Hmm.
video games. Like like we said, we just talked about like Mario got that huge bump in March and April when the movie came out, and yeah, Sonic got a huge bump when the movies came out. So just kind of smart business to hey
Yes.
have these things on the shelf. You know when these big movies come out that more people are going to check out than before. So um, next up here, we're gonna other news this week here. Not a whole lot. Remedy did announce they're making a free to play game, and it's an early production, so it's like pre production, and they were like
Hmm.
nearing going into production, and they talked about because of like they kind of see the changing of the guard and like free to play and live service that they're actually like basically like going back into pre production and turning this into like a full fledged
Okay.
like it's no longer gonna be free to play. Sounds like it's not gonna be a live service game. They're turning it just into like an actual. It'll probably be a multiplayer game, but it's not gonna be live service. It's not gonna be free to play. They're turning this into like a multiplayer game instead now. So it's gonna be a
I see.
a regular probably $60-$70 game. So um, that's happening. But hey, like that's the case where like we talk about we see all these like live service games coming out now, and it's like oof. But it's like, but those games were in development for years now, and it's like now there's probably gonna be a lot of
Yes.
games that are in development right now that are like are early development now that are like were gonna be live service that they got lucky and like, ooh, let's change this while we still can. Um, so yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
The Wonder Woman game made by the Shadow Mordor team. We talked about last week about how like WB wanted to double down with their video games as a live service, and then there was like a job posting for the Wonder Woman game that made it sound like it's gonna be a live service game. They did come out and say that Wonder Woman is a single player game. So um, I
Oh,
won't be shocked
okay.
because based off WB games, they will probably WB will force in a ton of microtransactions like they did with like the Shadow
Oh,
Mordor game
yes.
and like they do with like Mortal Kombat,
Mortal Kombat 1.
all pretty much any Mortal Kombat game since like 10 and like the Injustice games. Um, But yeah, like at least it won't be live service. I guess that's something. Um, Baldur's Gate 3 will be coming to Xbox in December. They will give them a date at the Game Awards, and they did reveal there will be a
Okay.
physical version of the game coming out in January. So if you're someone that's been waiting, yeah,
There
so you're
you go.
someone that's been waiting for a physical version, that will be out there for you. Dragon's Dogma 2 is coming out March 22nd. It sounds like that was like it was like posted on Best Buy. No, obviously, doesn't mean anything. But the Capcom did say they have a big game coming out in the first quarter of the next year. A lot of people thought it'd be Monster Hunter World, myself included, but maybe it's Dragon Dogma 2 instead. And then Jeff Grubb did mention on Game Mess podcast that the KOTOR Star Wars KOTOR remake is no longer in development. Obviously, everything going on we've talked about a lot,
Mm.
where Aspire was originally making it, and then people they were just very unhappy between PlayStation and Embracer, and then Saber was like publishing it or co developing it, and then they ended up taking it over. But the game is just sounds like it's just pretty much as close to being canceled without being canceled as it is right now. So, but yeah, that is pretty much it for the news this week, Gables. Let's jump into what we've been playing.
Hmm.
Do you want to go first, buddy? Or you want me to go first?
Well, considering I
Oh,
haven't
that's
really
right.
played
Yeah.
too much this week, let's go ahead and have you go
Okay.
through.
I'm kind of stable. I haven't got to play too much. I played for a few hours of games this week. I did play some more RoboCop Rogue City. Um, a game continues to be fun, Gables. It's just a great game. It's
Mm.
funny. It's really funny. They know that the 80 cheese is there. They have nailed it. For what like the 80 90s charm that we love. That someone like me growing up
Yes.
growing up watching like action movies and all like the cheesy Sylvester Stallone and John Claude Van Damme and Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, stuff like that. Like I love those movies growing up, and this is kind of feels that little hole that I think that we've all been missing, for like stuff like that. And it's a video game form. It's awesome. They've nailed the aesthetic. They nailed. They even got like some of the voice actors back from some of the people that from the movie back for the game. I have a great time with it. Um, I'm like probably 6 or 7 hours in. I am a little concerned though, Gables, because I was kind of looking. I'm like, man, how far into
Mm.
this game am I? How close am I to the end? And I was kind of looking up. I'm like, I like a third of the way through this game. I'm like I'm having a lot of fun. This game. This game is great, but I'm like, I don't know if I want a 20-hour game of this. Uh, this is like it's like a great game. It's like I don't know. Like this would be a great like 10-hour game maybe. Obviously, I could just speed through the main game if I wanted to, but like I actually enjoyed walking in the world. But like I could like there's not enough gameplay that I don't know if the gameplay is great enough to like carry me through the game. It's everything like the gameplay is good.
Right.
It's really good. It's solid. But like everything else is carrying me through this game. I'm not like feeling that like I'm ready to move on yet, but I am like I'm just worried. I'm like, oh man, like how am I gonna be feeling like if they're not gonna make any drastic updates or changes to like the game mechanic as I go, like I could feel myself like losing steam on this game if I continue on. But like, it's a phenomenal game. It really is. So like,
Yeah.
I would maybe wait for like it's $60, but like I pick it up, play it. It's gonna be have a great time probably with it. If like this is something that you want to have like a great 7.5 out of 10 game, or if like I bet this game is gonna be like $30 on Black Friday or during the holidays. So
Pick it up on a discount, definitely. It
yeah,
sounds
and
like.
like this is not a game you gotta play right now. Like this is like if you have 20 other like major games that have come out this year. But this is like a great game, like in between game or like whatever. But yeah, I'm having a great time with it. The other game I've been playing is Mario RPG. I've only played like about 2 hours of it. Um, I
Hmm.
just got to like I don't know like the second temple, or like the where you go to get the second star.
Oh, for the second
Yeah, so I
star.
just got
Okay.
there. Um,
Who's in your
I
party
just
right
got
now?
Mario and Mallow is all I have right now. So I haven't even got
Okay.
to the third guy yet. So um, the I really like I think the writing is really good. I like the characters. So
Hmm.
like Mallow is really cool. I like Mallow a lot. I like some of the characters you get
Yeah.
introduced to. I like some of the shit that's happening throughout the world, Gables.
Yes.
Um, I'm not having a great time with the combat.
Well, that doesn't really surprise me too much, though. I mean, you do have kind of some bits of difficulties with the
Yeah,
rhythm-based
well,
stuff, so
I
like,
pretty much figured that out. So the nice thing is they do have like an exclamation point comes up when you're supposed to hit the button, and it'll do that until like
yeah.
you regularly start hitting it. So that's just kind of cool. So like, but once you like it goes away, which I've gotten the rhythm now. Like I get when you do stuff repeatedly, I can get it. For the most part, there's a
Yes,
couple like special moves that I don't do often enough that I fuck up a lot. Um, but it's just kind of simplistic, honestly, right now. Maybe you'll get
that's the
yeah,
point.
maybe yeah. It's like Pokemon is like baby's first RPG, but there's like for us like there's shit we can do in there like make it different. But like if you just go in and just play through the game and move on, like it could not be it could be very easily it could be a very easy game. And this is kind of that for me really so far. But like what the best parts of this game is the writing, is the characters. So I'm having a good time with that. But
Well,
I'm like,
yes,
um,
absolutely.
and like I don't know, it's like my like every instinct in me is screaming to grind, and like you get so few XP points from grinding, and it's like oh I don't want to fucking grind. So it's like I don't know, like you wear it out.
Actually, let me just stop you right there and just saying like that. I would not, and just to give you a little bit of a heads up and stuff like that. Don't worry too much about
Okay,
grinding.
all right,
Go ahead and get your established party members and stuff like that. You're not gonna really need to want to grind a lot right at this moment in time. I think you're probably set with what you got going currently. If I think, let's see, and you haven't even got the third party member
yeah,
yet. I keep forgetting though, this is your first time going
yeah.
through this game, so I'm not going to spoil anything major in that regards. But
I know you get like Bowser and
I
stuff,
will.
so
Well, yeah, yeah, I understand that, but the way you get like certain characters and
yeah,
this and that. But I will say, don't focus on grinding. Just focus on just going through the initial story and stuff. Because I will say there really isn't a lot of say like side missions inside of this game. But this is the game's intention when it was from the get go. This is like a bridge from like this is like back in the day when Super Mario RPG was released. It was intentionally made to bridge people in from like the standards of like say an RPG up into like intermediate like stuff. Like say for example, start off playing Super Mario RPG, then you'll go maybe delve into like a Final Fantasy or something like that, or maybe even like a
yeah,
Pokemon game because that one's kind of similar in terms of style to where Pokemon was like sort of a bridge RPG
yeah.
game to get into the genre itself. So it intentionally is sort of like simplistic like that, but at the same time, there will be things that will elaborate things
Okay.
to make it a bit more
Yeah, like I'm not
interesting.
giving up on the game. Like I think
No, no, I'm
the
not saying
writing and the character
that.
work and everything like that is like really well done. I'm enjoying it. Um, but Gabriel, are you calling Mario RPG a gateway drug?
I'm calling it a gateway game into RPGs,
So
yes.
Mario RPG is marijuana of the RPG world. Is that what we're saying here? And Final Fantasy is like meth. We can call like Pokemon like
I wouldn't make that type of
Pokemon's like
analogy. I
cocaine.
mean, well, think of it this way. If you think like say Mario Brothers games be like bridge into like other types of games and stuff, then definitely Super Mario RPG is a
Yeah.
bridge sort of game into like even more, sort of yeah, kind of like what you would say. I wouldn't call it like the marijuana of freaking video games. I call it more like a oh god, what's a good analogy with
Oxy.
this? It's
So
nah, nah.
Baldur's Gate 3 is definitely like the heroine of RPGs, right?
Well, the heroine of RPGs. No, man, it's like when you kind of, it's like when you're like a football player and stuff, and like you go
High school to
like
college,
the
yeah.
high school,
Pop
and
Warner and
then
all
like
that,
this
yeah.
is like sort of like yeah, this is sort of like the high school equivalent to where at least the college leagues and stuff, and all of a sudden it gets to like the professional, the big
Yeah.
leagues and
Yeah.
stuff. That's the biggest thing I can really do
So
in
are
comparison.
you saying Mario RPG is the Sonic of RPG games? Gables, is that what you're saying to me right
Oh.
now?
The Sonic of
That's mean.
RPGs.
This
Well, I don't know where the fuck you got that
I don't
from.
know. I mean, like Sonic is like it's like I don't know. It's like a bad platformer. So and like then you find good
Oh
ones like Mario
god.
and Celeste. So
Now you just convinced a whole bunch of people to buy part of Super Mario RPG now because you just called the Sonic of Super Mario
you know what, Gables? Sometimes you got to
RPGs.
fall on the sword a little bit here. And if I have to fall on the sword, for people buy Mario RPG. I guess that's what I'll do. But you know what? Maybe that
Uh,
will tell people will finally learn. This is the gateway for people to stop playing shitty Sonic games, start playing good Mario games.
oh.
That's what it is. So Sonic is the marijuana of video games, where it's like here's a shitty game And then we'll get you, but we're gonna get addicted to video games, even though it's a shitty one. And then eventually you'll find good ones, like God of War.
Uh,
Where did this podcast go?
I don't know. I think he's got some sort of PTSD thing with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Not, I don't know if I call it PTSD. It's like just an overall hatred of, not so much the games, just the people that make the games.
I wouldn't be surprised if you had nightmares of Sonic the Hedgehog just screaming in your face or something like that. Whoa,
Yeah,
yo, hey, chili dogs,
yeah. I'm not.
whoa!
No, I'm just like, it's not so much that. It's just like eventually I'm gonna be cursed and just smell chili dogs 24/7.
You just wake up the smell of chili dogs and all of a sudden, gotta go
Gotta go
fast.
fast.
I gotta
Yeah,
go fast.
yeah. Fucking asshole. Fuck that guy. One good thing about it, killed Jaleel White's career. Fucking Urkel. Can't find work anymore. Played Sonic for a couple of years. Bam, gone. No one's seen that guy ever since. So I don't know. Call me crazy, but Sonic black hole for your career. So anyways, let's get the fuck out of here before I piss off any more people. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you like this, please don't give us a thumbs down. Don't give us 1-star reviews. 5-star reviews, thumbs up. Sonic fans, if you're a Sonic fan, you're here for this, just go away. Just go away.
Oh
But
my gosh.
yeah. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. If you like all this, please follow us. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, or podcast apps. We're on all those places. Like, follow, subscribe, 5-star reviews, thumbs up, shares, tell your friends. Tell your friends about Sonic and being bad. Don't let friends play Sonic. That's my
oh, oh, I'm just laughing at the absurdity of all friends don't let friends play Sonic the
I'm just gonna
Hedgehog.
like see like Gables with like a marijuana like with a bowl. He's like getting ready to smoke a bowl, but it's just like a cartridge of like Sonic and Knuckles, and I'm like, no, and I just smack it out of his hand. That's gonna be me. this, this podcast is dumb. I was your host, I was
Oh.
Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. Until next time, everyone, play Sonic the Hedgehog.
Go fuck yourself, Gables. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Don't play Sonic.